The Russian Air Force has officially reinforced its fighter fleet with the arrival of newly built Su-35 multi-role aircraft, a move that underscores Moscow's continued commitment to modernizing its armed forces while projecting power both domestically and internationally. The Su-35, developed by Sukhoi and produced at the Komsomolsk-on-Amur aircraft plant, KNAPO, in Russia's Far East, is widely regarded as the pinnacle of Russia's 4++ generation fighters, an aircraft that bridges the gap between the older Soviet-era Su-27 family and the emerging Su-57 stealth jet. The 2025 deliveries not only add to Russia's combat readiness but also highlight its industrial resilience at a time when the defense sector faces unprecedented economic sanctions and supply chain constraints. A fighter born of legacy. The Su-35's origins date back to the late 1980s and early 1990s, when Russia sought to upgrade the legendary Su-27 flanker, itself a Cold War answer to the American F-15 Eagle. The collapse of the Soviet Union initially stalled progress, but Sukhoi engineers persisted, refining the design to incorporate cutting-edge avionics, improved aerodynamics and thrust vectoring engines. The modern Su-35 that entered serial production in the late 2000s is very different from its predecessors. It has a reinforced airframe capable of a 30-year lifespan, vastly upgraded radar and electronic warfare systems, and the AL-41F1S engines, which give it both raw thrust and supermaneuverability. The fighter has been positioned as a 4++ generation jet, meaning it incorporates many fifth-generation technologies without possessing full stealth. Unlike the Su-57, which emphasizes radar evasion, the Su-35 relies on agility, speed, and electronic warfare capabilities to defeat opponents. In Russian doctrine, this approach ensures that the aircraft can hold its own against rivals while working in synergy with powerful ground-based air defenses. Technical powerhouse. What makes the Su-35 formidable is its blend of raw power and advanced electronics. The twin AL-41F1S turbofan engines each deliver 142 knots of thrust with afterburner and include thrust vectoring nozzles that allow the jet to execute extreme maneuvers beyond the capacity of most Western fighters. Its aerodynamic design enables sustained supersonic flight without afterburner, known as supercruise, a feature typically associated with fifth-generation jets. The Irbis-E radar is another defining feature. With a detection range reportedly up to 400 kilometers for large aerial targets, it can track up to 30 targets simultaneously and engage 8 at once. This capability allows the Su-35 to operate as both a frontline fighter and a mini AWACS, relaying target data to other aircraft. Its suite of electronic countermeasures and defensive systems further boosts survivability in contested environments. Weapons versatility is equally impressive. The Su-35 can carry up to 8,000 kilograms of ordnance across 12 hardpoints, including beyond visual range (BVR). Missiles such as the R-77 and R-37M, close-range missiles like the R-73, and a wide array of guided bombs and air-to-surface missiles. This versatility ensures it can perform air superiority, interception, and strike roles with equal effectiveness. Lessons from the battlefield. The Su-35 has not remained a paper design. It has been tested in real combat. Its deployment in Syria beginning in 2016 marked the fighter's baptism of fire. There, it escorted bombers, engaged in deterrence missions, and demonstrated its radar and missile superiority in the crowded Syrian airspace. The aircraft also proved its endurance, flying long sorties from Russian bases while carrying heavy ordnance. More recently, the Su-35 has reportedly been used in the ongoing war in Ukraine. Although details are difficult to independently verify, Russian sources credit the fighter with intercepting Ukrainian aircraft and drones while conducting air defense suppression missions. Western analysts argue that the Su-35 has faced challenges against advanced NATO-supplied air defenses, but its presence nonetheless forces adversaries to adapt. Every operational lesson feeds back into the upgrade cycle, with new Su-35 batches incorporating refinements to avionics software, radar filters, and weapon systems. Production against the odds. One of the most striking aspects of the 2025 deliveries is that they were achieved despite sweeping Western sanctions aimed at crippling Russia's aerospace industry. Restrictions on semiconductors, avionics components, and raw materials were expected to slow or halt production. Instead, Russia has demonstrated resilience by substituting imported components with domestically produced equivalents, tapping alternative suppliers, and prioritizing defense over civilian production. The Komsomolsk-on-Amur plant, a historic hub of Russian aviation, has been working at expanded capacity. Defense officials have indicated that dozens more Su-35s will be delivered over the next few years, providing both replacements for combat losses and new squadrons to bolster Russia's defensive posture. For Moscow, the ability to sustain production under sanctions is as much a political statement as it is a military necessity. It shows both allies and adversaries that Russia's defense industrial base remains functional and determined. The export factor. The Su-35 is not only vital for Russia but also a key player in the global arms market. China was the first export customer, purchasing 24 aircraft in a deal worth approximately $2.5 billion. Egypt followed with its own order, despite U.S. threats of sanctions under the Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act, CAATSA. Indonesia at one point planned to buy the Su-35 before canceling under Western pressure, yet interest remains alive in other parts of Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. For prospective buyers, the Su-35 offers a balance of advanced capability at a lower cost compared to Western fighters. It is particularly attractive to countries that cannot access U.S. or European aircraft due to political restrictions. By exporting the Su-35, Russia not only secures revenue but also binds client states into long-term maintenance and training partnerships, expanding Moscow's strategic influence. Comparisons with global rivals. How does the Su-35 stack up against Western and Chinese fighters? The American F-35 Lightning II, with its stealth and advanced sensor fusion, represents a different design philosophy. In a beyond visual range duel, the F-35 stealth may provide first-shot advantage, but in close combat, the Su-35's agility and thrust vectoring maneuverability could prove decisive. Against the F-15EX, the Su-35 compares favorably in agility and avionics, though the American jet benefits from advanced networking with U.S. systems. China's J-20 stealth fighter presents another competitor. While the J-20 emphasizes stealth and long-range engagement, the Su-35's proven engines and maneuverability provide advantages in dogfighting scenarios. Ironically, China's purchase of Su-35s suggests that Beijing valued access to Russian engine technology, even as it develops its own fighters. A symbol of deterrence. For Russia, the Su-35 is more than a combat platform, it is a tool of deterrence and geopolitical signaling. By delivering fresh batches of fighters in 2025, Moscow is broadcasting to NATO and the wider world that it retains the ability to field advanced aircraft at scale. The deployment of these jets to strategic regions such as Kaliningrad, Crimea, or the Far East would enhance Russia's ability to contest airspace and complicate adversary planning. Looking forward, while the Su-57 stealth fighter remains Russia's flagship next-generation program, it is entering service slowly and in small numbers. In contrast, the Su-35 is already combat-proven, affordable, and available in quantity. For at least the next decade, it will form the backbone of the Russian Air Force's tactical aviation fleet. Incremental upgrades will keep it competitive, while its presence on the export market will ensure Russia remains a player in global military aviation. In many respects, the Su-35 embodies Russia's current military trajectory: pragmatic, resilient, and adaptive under pressure. It does not rely on cutting-edge stealth but leverages proven strengths in aerodynamics, engine technology, and weapons versatility. The arrival of newly built aircraft in 2025 reaffirms that Moscow intends to sustain its air power ambitions, regardless of geopolitical isolation. As Russia integrates these new fighters into active service, the Su-35 will continue to serve as both a shield over Russian skies and a spear in its military campaigns abroad. It is not just a fighter jet, it is a symbol of endurance, capability, and Moscow's determination to remain a formidable force in the 21st century battlespace.